You know that massive AWS outage that happened in October 2025? You know, the one that took out basically all of the world's most popular companies? Snapchat, Duolingo, Fortnite, Google. Even Hinge was down, so I couldn't see my thousands of matches.
Yeah, boy.
This one outage cost over $500 million in lost revenue for these companies. But this could have been avoided. Let's talk about single region failure versus dual region high availability. So on the left side here, this is what happened during the outage. Let's say an app like Hinge was running in a single region. When US East 1 went down, the app server failed and the database became unreachable. So users like me trying to connect to see all of my DMs, they saw 503 errors. The service was completely down and developers all across the world were struggling. They were trying to manually recover things. But what if I told you this could be all avoided, and some companies actually did? This is what multi-region architecture gives you. So when US East 1 goes down, the health check automatically detects the failure and it gets routed to US West 2, a different region. The user is going to stay happy because they didn't even know that there was an outage. You're going to learn how to build a working multi-region deployment. You understand how to deploy to app runners, set up automatic deployments, and make region-aware apps. You'll do this completely for free and you'll get documentation of your project that you can show to recruiters. Now, of course, there's things to consider here, otherwise all companies would be deployed on multiple regions. So now if we look at the pros, of course, we have high availability. If something breaks, we can reroute it to a different region, and that increases our uptime. Someone living in California is going to get a 50 millisecond response in US West 2 compared to 150 millisecond response from US East 1. And then also we have regulatory compliance. So GDPR requires EU data to stay in the EU. So multi-region, of course, lets you do this. But of course, there are some cons. You're paying for double the infrastructure because you have 2 app runner services and 2 sets of resources. Additionally, data replication is messy. It is hard to keep databases in sync across regions without causing conflicts. And of course, this comes with complexity. It's hard to manage a system like this, but of course, companies still do it. And the main reason they do it is because it prevents millions of dollars lost during these outages. But you want to weigh up the cost in terms of time, resources, and actual monetary cost to deploy multi-region architecture. For example, let's say there's an average of 1% downtime a year, and that is going to cost you $5 million. That might be cheaper than setting up a multi-region architecture, which could cost you $10 million in the year. But for some critical apps, the cost of redundancy is going to be outweighed by the cost of being offline. Not all companies are using multi-region deployments, but most companies now are using some form of hybrid cloud setups, which has its own benefits and cons as well. All of this to say companies are really desperate for people with these skills, people who know if they should be deploying multi-region architecture or if they should be deploying single region architecture. And then more importantly, those that can actually go ahead and do it. Enough said, let's get into the project. All right, so first thing we need to do is create a GitHub repository, and this is where our code is going to live. If you haven't created a GitHub account, I'd recommend just going through this project guide. I'll leave it in the link down below, and this is going to walk you through the entire setup. But you can go to the top left-hand corner here, go repositories, and then we are going to create a new repository. I'm going to select myself as an owner, and I'm going to call this repository multi-region app. We can leave all of these as they are and create the repository. And we're going to copy this HTTPS URL. Make sure you select HTTPS, copy, and we are going to clone this using Cursor. You can use any IDE you want, but we're going to be utilizing some of the AI chat features within Cursor to help speed up this process. So I'd recommend things like Cursor or Anti-Gravity, or you can use VS Code, but maybe using something like Claude Code could be cool as well. So I'm going to go ahead, open up Cursor. I'm going to clone a repo, paste in my link here, and clone from URL. It's going to ask me to save a destination. I'm going to save it on my desktop and hit enter. And then open this up. I'll make this full screen. And now we have just downloaded our empty repository onto our computer. We can add files into this and then push it back into GitHub. For this project, we're going to build a simple web app that responds with a message when you hit it. Nothing fancy, just a basic server that proves our multi-region setup works. Later, we're going to make this region aware so we can tell which region is responding. But in this step, we're going to create our Express app with Node.js. Now, the reason we're using Node.js is actually very simple. It's minimal and fast to get running. An AWS App Runner, which we're going to be using later on. Don't worry if you don't know what it is yet. It also supports things like Python, Go, Net, PHP, Java. So if you really prefer a different language, the deployment process that we're going to be doing is identical. You just need to swap your runtime and the build commands. But for us, we'll navigate our way to the project guide here and copy in this command. We'll go to Cursor here and we'll paste it in and hit enter. And while Cursor is doing its thing over here, I'm going to explain what that actually did. So we said create an Express.js web app. So essentially what Cursor is doing is it's created two files. So if we look at this left side here, this package.json file here is telling Node.js what dependencies we actually need for our app. And when we run npm install, Node.js reads this file and then downloads Express. Then on the right hand side here, we got index.js, and this is our web server. So firstly, we're importing Express, we're creating a server, and we're setting up a route at /, as you can see right here. And we're essentially saying when a user hits our app, it's going to respond with hello from AWS. This is just telling our server which port to listen in on. App Runner automatically sets the port environment variable when it runs your app, as we can see here. And this right here is just the fallback for local testing when port doesn't exist. So if we go back to Cursor here, you should see these two files in here, and this is exactly what we want, so we can keep all, and we're good to move on to the next step. We're now going to push this code to GitHub, so we need to open up a terminal just here. You can either press Command J or Control J, and of course we need to git add .git commit -m. We're going to say add express app, and then we want to git push origin main. If this didn't work for you, you may have some auth issues here. I'd recommend just checking out the project guide, and you can run through a couple of these prompts right here to get back on track. But if we go back to GitHub here and I refresh my page, you will now see my files in here. You know, I still get excited when I see the changes happen live. I don't know why. So next we're going to deploy our app to AWS App Runner in US East 1. And if you're wondering what App Runner actually is, great question, my friend. App Runner is a fully managed service that runs our web application without us actually having to look after service. So if you look at this diagram, you push your code to GitHub. App Runner then pulls your source code, it builds it into a container, deploys it, handles auto scaling, sets up load balancing, and you don't need to manage anything. It's very similar to platforms like Vercel or Netlify or Heroku. Push code to GitHub and it deploys automatically and handles all that for you. The difference here is that App Runner gives you full AWS infrastructure integration. So you could connect to things like RDS for databases or VPCs for private networks and a lot of other AWS services. So it's super useful for us because you can push code and get a scalable AWS app with full backend connectivity. For this part of the project, you actually need to create an AWS account. If you don't know how to do that or you don't have one set up, make sure to check out this project guide. It'll walk through the entire thing. And by the way, you won't get charged for this. I'm signed in as my IAM user here just for better security. But the first thing we want to do is make sure that we are in the US East 1 region. So it should say North Virginia right here. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and search for App Runner here. We're going to click into AWS App Runner. We're going to select create an App Runner service. For us, it's source code repository. We're going to deploy our service using the code hosted in our source code repository, and that is from GitHub. We want to click add new here. For connection name, we're going to name this GitHub connection, and we want to select install another here. And this should pop up where we want to install our connector. So I'm going to install it for my personal account. We only want to select the repository that we're using. So for me, this is multi-region app, and I'm assuming yours will be called the same. And then you want to hit install and authorize. Now you should be seeing your name pop up here, which means you've done things correctly. And we can go ahead and hit next. And you're going to probably see this error pop up. Now, at first I thought that I was doing things wrong, but this has been an error that has pretty much been around since they created App Runner, which was ages ago, but AWS has never fixed it. So if you go cancel right now, you go back to this page, refresh the page, you will find that your settings are loaded in here. So now we have just authorized AWS to access our GitHub repository. Now for deployment settings right here, we want it to be automatic. So we want every push to this branch to the source directory to deploy a new version of our service, a new version of what we've actually built. And we can go ahead and click next here. So we want to select configure all settings here. Our runtime is going to be Node.js 18. Our build command is going to be npm install. Start command npm start. So that npm is just node packet manager. And our port is 8080. So this build command npm install, this is just downloading all of our dependencies like Express before we run our app. The start command here is just telling App Runner how to launch our application. So it runs a start script from our package.json. And then lastly, the port setting here is just telling App Runner which port our app is listening on so it can route incoming traffic accurately and correctly. We can go click next here. For service name, we're going to call this multi-region app East. We're going to leave the default settings here, and we can go ahead and click next again. Just review all your settings. Everything should be looking all good, and we can create and deploy. This process is usually going to take maybe 2 to 3 minutes. So this is a great time to tell you to like and subscribe, do all that cool stuff. Please. So I'm still waiting for this, but I'll explain what App Runner is doing. It's cloning our repository here, and it's running npm install. It's fetching our dependencies. It's going to build our application, and it's launching it to a managed container. And it's also going to provision our load balancer, configure all the scaling, set up the health checks. This is stuff that's going to take hours to set up normally, but it's going to happen in minutes for us. And when things go green here, that means things are all good. Okay, things finally worked. So once the status shows that it's running, you can find the default domain right here, and we're just gonna click into it. Now, if you see in the top right-hand corner, you can see hello from AWS. And this is coming from the route that we set up in the index.js file. So when you hit that slash path, the server responds with this message. And remember, this is coming from what we set up with the index.js file, where when we hit the slash path, we're gonna see this message pop up. So our code has actually gone from our laptop to production in minutes, and now we have a public URL that anyone can access. And it's running on US East 1 managed infrastructure, and we don't have to think about anything. Well, we do, but it's nice. And now we're gonna do the same thing for US East 2. And this is going to give us our second region. And the reason we're doing this is because running in 2 regions that are separated by 2,500 miles, this means that one disaster will not affect the other. Plus, people that are closer to the West Coast will get lower latency compared to just running in one region. And this is how companies like Netflix, Uber, Airbnb achieve high availability and low latency globally. When US East 1 went down in 2025, companies that had set up a failover safety would have been able to continue running. Companies without it, though, were offline for 14 hours, so that's why we're learning this. We're going to go back to the home page. I'm going to select US East 2. So that is Ohio. I want to make a note here. You'll see me saying US East 1 and US East 2, but actually we want to be deploying in US East 1 and US West 2 so we can get those latency benefits. Like all the diagrams I talked about. I'm tired, guys. I made a mistake, but I hope you don't make the same mistake. Let's go back to AWS App Runner here, create an app, source code, add new connection. Oh, and by the way, the reason on the last page you didn't see any resources pop up, like you're wondering, where is our last connection? It's because it's region specific, right? So we wouldn't actually see our US East 1 region connection. In here, I'm going to call it GitHub connection west, and I can just hit next, cancel again because it has those issues. Refresh the page, source code, and we should be seeing it right here. Beautiful. Automatic deployment here, same settings as we ran before. So just a reminder, it is Node.js 18. npm install, npm start, port 8080, and we can hit next. For service name, we're going to call it multi-region app west. Leave all the default settings here, click next again, review everything, and then we are going to be good to create and deploy once again. Again, going to take some time. It's probably a great time to have some hot water. We've been deployed to multi-region app west. We can do the exact same thing. Click on that. Hello from AWS. Perfect. Now I'm just going to go to US East 1 here. I'm also just going to check that everything is running fine. As you can see, it is. Let's switch back to US East 2, also running fine. So congratulations, you literally have 2 regions running right now with identical content. They're running the same app in 2 separate regions, 2,500 kilometers apart. That is cool. So now what we're going to do is update the app to display which region is responding. And the reason we're doing this is because right now it's kind of hard to tell. Both of them say hello AWS. We don't know which one's which. Knowing which region serves each request is essential for debugging and verifying that our setup is actually working. In production, you'd log this to your monitoring system and track your distribution. But for this case, we're going to display it directly. Let's make these messages show their region names. So now we need to make sure that our app knows which region it's running in. We need some way to make sure if it is in US East 1 or US East 2. And this is where environment variables come in. These are configuration values that exist outside of our code, but can be read at runtime. And this is perfect for things that can change between environments. So like which region we're running in, maybe like the database connection strings or API keys. App Runner automatically sets an environment variable called AWS region when you run your app. In US East 1, it sets it to US East 1. And in US West 2, it sets it to US West 2. Your code can read this variable and use it in the response. So let's go to the project guide here, and we're going to copy in this prompt here and paste it into Cursor. Go back into Cursor here, paste this in and hit enter. And essentially what Cursor has done already is it's read the AWS region environment variable with local as fallback. So that's when we're testing on our computer and AWS region doesn't exist. It's changed the response to include the region, and it logs the region when the server starts. So we're happy with these. Let's just keep these changes here, and we're going to commit these. So git add all, git commit -m, and we're going to call this add region awareness, and then git push. And because we configured automatic deployments, both App Runner services are going to detect this change, and they're going to start deploying. This is continuous deployment, or the CD in CI/CD in action. So we can see here that a deployment has started. I'm currently in US East 2. Could switch to US East 1, and let's check this as well. And you can see that it's also deploying in US East 1. All right, so things are deployed. We're in US East 1. I can click on this, and now you should see hello from US East 1. Likewise, I can go back to the terminal here. Let's click Ohio environment. Sometimes you just gotta reset it. I don't know why it does that. Then we can click on the domain here and US East 2. Let's go. So now you can clearly see which region is serving which request. And this is crucial for testing and verifying your multi-region setup is working correctly. That is gonna wrap up today's project. Remember, it is project 1 in the series, and there's 3 projects in this disaster recovery series. If you're interested in the next one, we're gonna be looking at CloudFront, and we're gonna introduce automatic failover so that traffic goes from a server that is down to a healthy server within seconds. But one thing I will say is if you want to keep this project free and you don't want to get charged, maybe you're waiting a couple days through the next project, I would recommend deleting your resources here. You just simply go to the service, click delete, and delete these two. Make sure that you switch into the other region as well. Click into here and hit delete. As you're going through the project, make sure that you fill in these questions, add this documentation in, because you will get beautiful documentation that looks like this. You can customize it by adding different colors in, and you can share it to platforms like LinkedIn, GitHub, Facebook, anything really. It's just about showing your skills that you actually have to recruiters so they can easily see what skills you have. That's all for today, folks. I will catch you in the next one. And as always, have a beautiful week and peace.